Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica and I'm going to dive right into the next part of my Halloween series, which is Merida and Queen Elinor from the Disney movie Brave. So at this point, all the videos are up of my daughter's Merida costume that I'm going to put up until we do like a reveal photo shoot at the end. So now I have got to dive into mine. I mentioned this in previous videos about this project, but this is something that my daughter requested that I do with her this year, and that just made me really excited because it's been a few years since any of my kids have wanted me or my husband to join with them in their own little Halloween theme. And my boys got my husband to do Star Wars with them, so we have that going. And then my daughter wanted to be Merida and she wanted me to do Queen Elinor. Technically she wanted my husband to be King Fergus, but that was a hard sell, so he's doing Star Wars with the boys. But we get to dive straight on into Queen Elinor, and I have got my sourced materials. I believe I mentioned that other than the embellishments and the the jewelry and the bow and arrow and all of that type of stuff, the actual fabric from the dresses for both of these costumes is 100% sourced from the thrift store. It took me a lot of looking around, but I'm really excited to show you what I found for this dress for Elinor. So I'm going to be doing her green dress, the regal one. That's the one my daughter wants. And I didn't need to find velvet for this, but I'm really excited because I had told my daughter when she originally asked that I was going to have to locate the fabric at a thrift store if I was going to do this, because we just can't afford to go, especially when we're already getting all the accessories, and there's the 4 boys and their costumes and my husband's costume, which I'm not making any of theirs. Stuff adds up, so I was like, I can't go to a fabric store and pay new fabric prices for any of this, so I'll have to find it at a thrift store. We looked for months and I didn't think that we were going to, but I did, and I found these absolutely beautifully stunning velvet green curtains that are the perfect color. And look at that, it's so pretty. And there were 4 panels of them, so lots to work with. Really excited because, again, I just didn't think that we were going to. And then for the underdress, I found a mixture of this tablecloth because, let's see here, from what I can see in the picture, it appears that this underskirt here is brocaded of some sort, and then the undersleeves that come up to here are not, up to here under the collar are not. So I needed 2 coordinating fabrics, and I'm going to mesh them into one underdress, and which is good because I don't think either one of these things that I found for this underdress were big enough to do a complete underdress in and of itself. But I found this tablecloth, which will be the skirt portion, and I already cut the tags off the velvet, but this was $3. So got to cut that off. And then for the other part, I found this random graduation gown from looks like a forestry school. And I mean, it's not my ideal fabric, but it's the correct color, and there's a lot of fabric here. And I did find a green, like a prom formal dress hanging in the same rack, but I was looking at it with my husband, and not only did they have a higher price on it than this was just branded as a women's dress, so it was like the standard women's dress price for the thrift store based off of the color of the tag here. But the formal had like a $30 price tag on it, and it was the correct color of green, but it was so pretty, and I just couldn't for one, spend that much on it, and two, I didn't want to cut up the dress. I know that it's sometimes really hard for people to afford prom dresses, and this one was just, it was absolutely beautiful. There were no holes on it, there were no stains on it. I know why they had a $30 price tag on it, and I didn't want to do that. So I was glad to find this, because I highly doubt anybody's going to need a graduation gown from a random forestry school. And I felt a lot better about chopping this up and repurposing it into something else. So, and I think this was like $6. So yeah, so those are the fabrics I have. I'm really excited about these curtains. They're so perfect. I'm going to start with the same base pattern that I used for Merida's dress for my daughter. Obviously, I won't be needing these sleeves, but this gives me a good neckline, although I will have to alter that neckline and bring it up more. It's too low and too scooped, but I can fix that. It gives me the basic shape of the dress. And then I'm going to use this pattern that I used previously when I made my first medieval themed dress, just for the sleeve. So anyway, again, I do have some editing to do, but I'm going to work with it. And then I have this 1930s vintage simplicity pattern, 8506, with a whole bunch of different sleeves. And I'm going to take this sleeve here and put it on the underdress, and then just add that point right over the wrist at the end and add that in. So yeah, I've got my work cut out for me. I found a blog of someone that had done the cosplay of Queen Elinor, and it said that it took her 6 months. I have a month and a half. So it already took me way longer to do Merida's costume than I had anticipated. So I'm going to jump right into pulling all these pattern pieces out and see what I can get done today. I just got back from dropping the kids off from school. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. I'm still on coffee. That is how early it is. My husband hasn't even gotten to work yet. So I am just going to, so yeah. Whew, I gotta get to work. Okay, I've been roughly working on this about 3 hours, and I don't know whether to be encouraged or discouraged at the progress here. So I have all of the underdress pieces cut out, sort of. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to need a facing for the neck edge. We'll have to see. I have just enough of this graduation gown left to do a facing, but that's it. So I've got 2 long sleeve pieces that go all the way down and are fitted, and then I've got 4 of these that are going to make up the billowy bottom part of the sleeve. I didn't need 2 upper portions of this underdress here. And then I tried to show it, but like, so right here, there's going to be a seam, because all the way across at the waist edge, because this is the top portion of the underdress, and then this is the bottom portion that is the tablecloth. I knew I did not have enough tablecloth to do the whole underdress, and I wasn't supposed to be doing it out of that anyway, because from the picture, it looks like the only brocaded part is what comes out, is the underskirt. So that's what I have. The back 4 pieces, so the 2 back pieces and the 2 side back pieces, the skirt is very short because I ran out of tablecloth, which I knew I would. I knew I wasn't going to have enough, but that's in the back under where the velvet's going to be, so I'm not super concerned about it. If I need to put an extra panel on the back of that skirt, I will. It won't match, but again, it will be covered by the outer velvet dress, which has a train. So I don't even see that I will need to. I might, just so that it's even across and doesn't bug me. But as far as the visuals, I don't see that it's not going to be necessary. I had still even had to taper down the flare on the side front piece at the very bottom. But the side front and the front are the two pieces I needed to cut out first, because there's the ones I needed to reach the floor in the front under the velvet. So the first thing I need to do here is basically sew them all together at the waist. So I left about a 1/2 inch seam allowance over the graduation gown and the tablecloth to seam them together and to turn them into one piece. And I'm basically just going to go ahead and construct, and I'm still losing light here. I'm not in the best position. I'm aware of that. Let me see. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and completely construct the underdress before I cut anything out of the velvet, because it's basically going to be two of the same dress. So yeah, I'm just going to begin that construction process. As with my daughter's dress, I'm just going to serge the seams where I can. So yes, I'm going to start with sewing these together at the waist. I did want to show that I added this here onto the front neck edge of the dress. And here's the thing. I know that there's probably going to be people that freak out when I say this. I did not make a mock-up of this part. This is the underdress. I have verified that this size fits me. There will be some tweaks that need to be made. This is not the first time I've used this pattern. And the waist is good. So I'm not concerned about it. There's a lot more leeway in this type of gown because it comes out. I think it's technically an A-line. Anyway, there's more leeway. It fits. I'll do any tweaking, and then once I get to the outer velvet, I will transfer those permanent tweaks onto that pattern. The goal of this is to have what you see under the velvet. Yeah. So we'll see how far I can get with that and start sewing all of this together. For the fitted sleeve that's under the billowy part, there's that dart right there that I'm showing, and that gives the sleeve its little bit of curve. And this was pretty simple, just sewing it after the dart was done down the seam, which is in the underarm, and then attaching it to the dress and hemming up both the wrist seam, where the hem at the wrist, and then serging around the armhole to get that finished, which I talk about. You'll see at the very, very end that I did end up adding a little bit more of a point than what was originally on this sleeve that I'll show here, and I think it looks fine. You can really barely see it under all of the other stuff going on in the dress, so it's fine. And then, yeah, once the sleeves were in, it was just hemming up those edges, hemming down the, I guess it's not called a hem, but sewing down the neck edge and then hemming up the bottom. And you can see there at the bottom where I had to patch all of the pieces together for the back of the skirt. Okay, I got into construction mode and the base of the dress is done. So what I have left is to do the billowy sleeve bits that come off of this area, you know, and spread out. But I don't know how well a job I did at showing it, but look at how patched the back is. I don't know if you can see all those seams, but this was me trying to get the back to as close a length to the front as I could. And, you know, close. It's still a decent amount shorter in the back, but again, this is the underdress and that doesn't matter. I needed I'll be out in a minute. I needed the front to be a certain length. So basically all I did was serge all raw edges, turn them over once and stitch them down. I have a wonderful green thread that looks pretty nearly identical to the color, so it blends right in, and with the business of the fabric, you can't tell. This is going to be covered by gold trim on the top neck edge, so I didn't hesitate to also do the same thing there. I did it very, very narrowly. I did the serged edge and then as narrow of a serge as I could, as narrow of a hem as I could fold over so that the serged stitches were not visible on this side. I turned it under and stitched it down. Did the same thing with the edge of the tips of the sleeves and also serged the inside where I attached the sleeves. So this gives me the base, and that's all I can get done today. So yeah, I will be able to pick up with these tomorrow. There will also be gold trim on this as well. And I did try it on before I hemmed it up, and that's actually where some of the length came from in the back. Was I was able to I took 3 inches off of the front bit and then transferred that over to the back. And yeah, I don't have any of this left. I used every bit of this tablecloth, and I barely have any left of the graduation gown, which is good because I hate this fabric. I knew I did when I bought it, but again, I wasn't going to ruin a nice prom dress, and it was literally just for this top portion here and for the sleeves. I mean, it is against my skin and I don't like it. But it's fine. It'll be fine. If it bothers me that much, I will put my 18th century shift on under it, which its sleeves go down to about right here. So not all the way down. But if I need to, I will. I'm not opposed to it. But yes, other than that, I am happy with the progress of where I got in the underdress today. This took all day, and I don't believe I'm going to have time to work on it tomorrow at all. We'll see. If I do, I'd really like to get the sleeves done. This is very frayy fabric. So was the tablecloth. So I had to move quick. But anyway, I'm really, really happy with the adjustment I did on the neck edge. I think that that's perfect. It gives me exactly what I'm looking. I will do that same thing on the outer dress. I do need to add just a tiny bit of width into this. I can either make smaller seam allowances when I go around and put the outer dress together, which that probably would give me enough. This is snug, but it fits fine. But as the other one is the overdress, obviously I need it to be just a little bit bigger. So I think just doing smaller seam allowances might work. If not, there's a huge potential I'm going to do a lacing back. And if that's the case, it really won't matter because I can lace it and I'll put a modesty panel in. But again, we will cross that bridge when we get there. As of right now, okay, progress. For these undersleeves, I did French seams, and that worked really, really well. You don't really see them. They hide in the dark of the dark green fabric and the busyness of everything going on around them. And then I just serged that edge at the top that is where it actually attaches to the rest of the sleeve. In the original pattern for the sleeve, that would have been the seam that attached it to the top portion of the sleeve, but I didn't cut out that particular piece of this sleeve pattern for this portion of the dress. And then to put the gold trim on it, I'm trying to show here, I turned that serge edge up to the outside, and that way it is completely hidden under the gold trim, so you see absolutely no seams. And for this gold trim, I have metallic gold thread, which one of you pointed out in a previous video where I was struggling with this gold thread, that if I put it on the external thread holder that isn't actually like at the top of the machine, that worked for you. And I tried that here and it worked absolutely beautifully. So thank you. I forget who it was at the moment, but I really appreciate it. It worked, and now I don't feel like I have a whole bunch of gold thread that I'll never be able to use. And then I sewed it down in 2 rows, top and bottom of this trim, folding over that top edge so it wouldn't fray, because this is a small portion off of a very wide trim that I cut all the way around. So one edge was completely finished and it was fine, but this edge that I'm folding under here, you see, was not. So I had to fold that under. And then I pinned it to the sleeve, stitched it down, folding under the serged edge again so you don't see it. Not that it really mattered. It's going to be up under the other sleeve, but I did that anyway. And that was the completion of this portion of my costume. And you can see I'm still wearing my pink shirt. I did, in fact, end up finishing it that day. I am extremely excited that I got all of this done in one day. I needed to. I hope to see you in the next video where I tackle the green velvet. Until then, Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you for joining, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. If you would like to see the rest of this project, this has already become something, but I'm enjoying it. Thanks for joining.